Black Label Rorschach is made by Tom King and was released on October 8th in 2020. It's 7 issues in of let's see, it's 7 issues in of a 12-issue comic, 4 issues left, and now the 7th issue has come with a surprisingly stupendous, I would say, cameo from a DC writer. Well, a writer that has put his name into DC and Marvel itself, creating Batman, the fucked up Batman universe that's still going on and probably will still be going on till the end of his death. That's right, I am talking about none other than Frank Miller. That's right. Frank Miller is now in a DC comic. It's not it's not that surprising because, you know, artists have been in comics, uh, for instance, Bandeas, uh, Morrison, and so on. But of course, now we have Frank Miller, the guy who some say actually did the best Batman comic and then went crazy, and then it's still fucking up Batman as we speak. The guy who made uh, the the Spirit movie, which fucked up the Spirit, which I like actually. Uh, he also did Sin City, um, among other things. RoboCop versus Terminator. He made RoboCop 2, and it's not so good sequel RoboCop 3, which I think is so good it's bad. Uh, but yeah, here we are with a with Frank Miller. I'll show you the full image. So this is the full image of his panel. I haven't read any of the Rorschach comics. I've looked at the first issue throughout. I like it. Uh, it's not the original. It's actually a second person taking on Rorschach um, mantle, which is like a this guy who showed up in the Button uh the and now has its own spin-off series. This guy showed up in the Button and that kind of crossover crossover with Superman and the Justice League and the Watchmen universe. You know, the one that didn't really shouldn't have really made it. You know, which I don't like that they crossed over. That I think that the Watchmen universe should have been its own universe, and it shouldn't have uh, tied into other things. But you know, that's DC for you. Um, Reggie Long, Reginald Long, or Reggie Long, is the actual second Rorschach, uh, who was inspired by the original Walter Kovacs, who died in Watchmen issue. Let me see. It's in one of the last issues of the comic. But anyway, uh, so now we have the second Rorschach, and made by Tom King. Uh, it's in the Black Label part of DC Comics, where they have their it's like their adult uh version of the comics, kind of like how Vertigo was, which Vertigo came back, but now it didn't come back long, and now it's gone again. So, um, which is fucking sad. But Black Label, you have Batman, White Knight, you have you have White Knight, you have the Batman series, you have there's supposed to be a Wonder Woman uh series. This whole collection of adult themed hello Yusuf. Adult themed comics that wasn't made for the censors. Um you probably remember there was a Batman comic with where it showed Batman's junk. That's where that was where that's Black Label. Um so yeah. So now we have Frank Miller, writer, director, all out was crazy guy, but not anymore. But he mellowed down. So yeah, now we have him as in a fucking DC comic for all for some reason. It's supposed to be this detective, I guess. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So he just followed in with Bendeas, Morrison. Now he's in there with them in the comic universe, and of course they had an old Marvel comic with David Letterman showed up in one of them in one of the Marvel comics. So now uh, David Letterman is in the Marvel universe, but uh, it's just one of those things where people will be like, "Yeah, we're gonna add some people in, just just you know to be like, hey, let's put a cameo in here and put them into the comic universe." Even though sometimes it doesn't make sense, sometimes it does. I guess. Kind of like how Morrison made King Mob after himself. Uh, King Mob is a character in The Invisibles, which was written by Morrison, which was part of the Vertigo comics. Had so yeah, Frank Miller is now in fucking DC comic is amazing. It's pretty out there, and can't wait to see what happens next. I think this is part of his Frank Miller's redemption, if you would say, uh, from the other type of weird shit that he's done. Um, so yeah, and he's done some weird shit. For instance, the goddamn Batman meme that was Frank Miller, um, which he still references sometimes, um, making Batman a fucking psychopath. It's the same fucking Batman that was in Year One and Dark Knight. He made the Dark Knight Returns and Year One, both amazing Batman comics, and then uh, he made fucking superhero fighting um, terrorist called the Fixer, and it Holy Terror, which that comic was full of fucking racist shit. And like I said, he redeemed himself basically. He's gotten mellowed out, and he's seen. I saw him talking about. Excuse me. Um, fuck, what's her name? Uh, she played MJ in Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'm gonna think of her name later. But yeah, she thought he talked about that. Um, and how it was great that we have that character in there, and how now we have an actual uh, relationship between them. Uh, Peter and MJ, not really Mary Jane, but still uh, a somewhat kind of character like that. Whereas, like in Raimi's Spider-Man, we had a grown-up relationship between Peter and MJ, which still in high school, but hey, they look like they were in their fucking 20s. And the MCU now they have like teenage relationship. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, that's pretty fucking amazing. And Tom King, I believe, is either did the drawing or George Fornes did the drawing. Either way, that looks exactly like what Miller does looks like now. Because let me show you. Let me get a picture of that. So yeah, that's what he looks like now, and that's what he looks like in the comics. I mean, it's very similar. First I thought it was like Alan Moore, but then, of course, no. The bald head and the look actually looks like Miller. So spot on appearance. I would say to whoever was drawing uh, the comic. Amazing. Like I said, can't wait to see what happens next. So this is Papa Cronus with another comic book news update. And if you haven't, excuse me, if you haven't like and subscribe, do that and share so I can up those subs. Uh, and I'll see you guys later.